Hero simps and virgins
Don't say the P word.
and peasants.
Oh my fucking god.
And welcome back to Krown's magical Protection Cape!
God damn it, what the fuck was that? You need to think of something new. It's time to move on, baby. We got bigger fish to fry than fucking Perdurptions over here. But we do have several things to be talking about. Actually, several new things to be talking about today as we do prepare for the monthly closure for CME, which is going to be today in, I don't know, like 15 or so hours. Anyways, good morning to everyone out there. I see that we got 511 people watching already, 149 likes on the video. That is insane. Massive thank you for that, as always. And today's day is really going to be a big setup for, you know, the next month to come, which is probably going to happen a lot within the next this next coming week. We have a major catalyst, obviously, with the FOMC meeting. I believe it is next week on Wednesday, if memory serves me correctly. And seeing as Bitcoin survived the tech earnings reports from the last week, it looks to me like everything's going to be kind of balanced upon that meeting next week. So with that in mind, probably going to be driving all markets. So that's going to be the big topic of today, obviously. And then some major price action areas to be aware of that is going to sort of validate and invalidate these next big moves that I'm essentially still looking for, this 20% move that we are seeing born in its ever so infancy right now, which I do expect is very, very likely to play out in this next 7 to sort of 10, or I guess it would be like more about 10 days from now. Anyways, with that in mind, what's up, Hamilton of Crypto? What's up, brother? How you doing, man? Good to see you. And fellas, check out Hamilton of Crypto. I didn't realize that you changed your name, but I like it, man. I like it. Formerly Bitcoin Beats, another good guy on the good old YouTubes right there. I see a lot of familiar faces here. David Snary, what's up, man? Chaotic Rage, Goofy Dude, Capo Tico, what's up, brother? A familiar face in the Discord, Wrathful Texan, Dutch Love, Dix Max, and Mr. Gaylord. Hey, good morning. Undoubtedly, perhaps one of the best names on the whole of YouTube. And Nikki Page, good morning to you as well. And Migto Biologic, J-Dog Felipe, Tree City West. Yep, we'll get all of the... I'm poor! No, we're poor again! But sir, Bitcoin's rallied like $1,000 in the last day. Or, you know, well, kind of rallied $1,000, get up $1,000, and then rallied back another 500 or so. But that really does bring in the full picture, which I suspect is going to be very much clarified, you know, probably on today's daily closure, assuming something very specific does happen. Anyways, before we get into that, I do want to let everyone know that the new features on the trading journal for the Krown trading application are live. This is completely free to be using, although if you are a premium user, you'll get a lot more just data, or sorry, you'll get more storage of data, basically, because, you know, it does cost us to actually do these. You can have multiple trade journals. It's going to track all of your results over here. We got a lot of new functionality coming out with this soon enough as well. So I'm really proud and excited to be presenting that, because that is going to be a big thing going onwards and forwards, and something that I really want to focus on and hammer down specifically with the Krown chain application, because that is something that I'm just a ardent believer in. Anyways, with that in mind, definitely go ahead and use it, abuse it as well if you so desire. And I also want to let you know that you can save your journal so that you can compare, you know, all of the notes and results of a particular strategy versus, you know, other strategies that you might be working on. In this case, you just do it over here, save it with the name, whatever you want to do, and then you can just create a new journal if you want to test or back test a new strategy. Anyways, with that in mind, what else we want to get onto into the Krown chain application before we get into it? I think I just have a shit ton of coffee to sip down on over here. It's like a heart attack day right now too. I woke up this morning, no caffeine, and my fucking heart started to beat, like all sorts of weird things. So hopefully not having a heart attack, but if I am, it's been a good run. It's been a really fun time. It's beating, Elsa says, it's beating so fast because you're a simp. Thank you very much. That is my significant other, everyone. Thank you for that, you fucking bastard. Anyways. What, did you call me a Mongol? You did not learn. Where did you learn that term from? You learned it from me, actually. Jesus Christ, we can't say these sort of things on the internet, okay? So just act like you never fucking heard that. Anyways, maybe Elon can buy YouTube as well, and then we can say sort of, you know, maybe more off the cuff things as well. Perhaps something like this: hey, biological men, I don't think that they can give birth. Just my opinion, though. Just saying. Hey, on her fucking iPhone, they added a pregnant man emoji. Now, I get it. You can be a pregnant man if you were a biological female and then you identify as a man. Maybe that could work, although... Well, maybe that could work. I don't know about the other way though. What?
It also could be a man who just ate too much.
It could also be a man who just ate too much. You mean like Bill Gates? Jesus Christ. Anyways, let me take a few more sips of this. I am very much behind on this. I'm getting canceled. Fuck. Oh my God. Oh, well, if I get canceled or if I have a heart attack, it's been a really good run, my friends. It's been a good fun time. And you know what? It was worth it. It was worth it to say, I believe, except, look, I'm not a fucking scientist, so I don't even know what a man or woman is. But in my opinion, just my opinion, that's it. I'm not so sure that biological men can give birth to people of any shapes or sizes. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Just I'm happy to be proven wrong. Just show me the show me the data, back test it. I'd like to see some back testing on that. Anyways. Krown's cancellation cave. And it's triple K's too. That is bad news right now, man. Holy fuck. We are treading very, 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 very shallow waters right here. This is not good. This is not fucking good. Anyways, I'm perma bullish on the cave, says Frig Diggler. Good morning to you as well, my friend. Ramon, just get to the charts, man. No way. And you can, no, actually, no. I need to drink this, man. If it is seriously an issue for you, in a more sincere tone, hey, if it really bothers you that I talk on a live stream about just random stuff, because it's a fucking live stream, then what you can do is you can wait until about 4 or 5 hours from now. I'll post just the content. I always do it. It's the same thing every fucking time. But in case you didn't know, there you go. And then you can just leave this one right now, and it's all good. It's all good. No one's, there's no harm, no foul, man. But I got a shit ton more coffee to get to over here, so this might take a little bit of time, man. I'm giving you a warning. It's a fair warning right now. I'm not a biologist. That is very, very true. Yeah. So I have no authority to speak on the topic. That is 100% true. We actually finished the last of the last Star Wars last night, episode number 9. I'm going to say something even more controversial than what I just said with the pregnant man. I actually thought it was okay. Number 9 was actually okay. Number 7 and 8, not so great. Very, very cringe. Number 9, actually okay. I think I get the story now too. Wow, you care about other people's opinions. Well, sometimes, yeah, I mean, it hurts, man. It does hurt. It hurts me right in my heart. I mean, that's why I'm getting these fucking heart palpitations. Jesus Christ. Yeah, here we go. Do you have Lebanese origins? Not that I know of. Although, who the fuck knows in that case? Anyways, Mr. Krown, Nikki Page and I want more coffee ASMR sips into the mic, please. Oh, no problem. I still got half a cup left here. Is it half full or is it half empty? Hey, Simo. Yeah, man. Yeah, and usually about 30 minutes after the live stream drops, the timestamps will be done. We have to do these things by hand, so it does take a little bit of time. Apple down 5% after hours, says Sinegra. Yeah, man, that is something that does have me a little bit concerned. But at the end of the day, man, I do think next week's event's going to just generally be more impactful than the earnings that we just saw, because we kind of would have expected that we would have seen the result on that, generally speaking, by now. Just a few more over here. I have Chewbacca origins. I am quite hairy, man. That could very well be. Charles Fuck says Coke and coffee. Dear Lord, man, I think my heart is already ready to explode. I don't think that we need that combination right now. You think Facebook is a good buy with all the VR stuff coming? I don't know, man. Fundamentally speaking, I'm just not the person to ask, because I don't spend my time studying that stuff. I don't spend my time, really putting much effort into that. I'm pretty much a chart purist in that format. So if you're more long term, obviously, then yeah, you want to be aware of the fundamentals. If you're perhaps investing for years to come, yeah, absolutely, that's definitely going to matter. But for my purposes, I'm not that much interested in it. Also, I just don't even trade Facebook or traditional markets for that, for that matter, at all. No, Facebook is falling hard on top of that meta too. I would not bet. I personally speaking would not bet against Facebook. When I was trading traditional markets, Facebook was one of the stocks that I was actually making markets in, and I saw that thing go from like fucking $80 to wherever the hell it is now. I mean, shit, man, it was just insane. It was just fucking insane. But Mark Zuckerberg gets a lot of shit. Honestly, if you go back to his past decisions, I just snorted like a pig. He's actually made a lot of really, really good business decisions that probably did not seem wise at the time. Like when he bought Instagram, I remember that was a whole big thing. I was there. I wasn't like there, but like I was watching and they paid like what, $1 billion or something for Instagram, which at the time had no revenue, no nothing. And everyone thought that Zuckerberg was just the biggest fucking moron for doing it. Turns out a few years later and obviously and beyond, it was a humongously phenomenal decision. You know, stuff like that is quite big. So I actually have a lot of respect for him. You know, people can obviously disagree on that. As a person, he might not come off the best way, obviously, but as you know, as a business owner and manager, or what is he? CEO? Who the fuck knows? You know, it's hard to kind of say that he's bad at that. He's quite good, at least in my opinion. I bought the Oculus before. It's cool. Yeah, man. I got an Oculus as well. They're amazing, but I just don't have enough time to play it recently. Thanks for the great content. Any recommendations on a book on trading? I'm really not a big fan of books on trading, just because I feel like there's too many nuances and to kind of like cover. But if you're just looking for like very basic fundamentals, yeah, it could be okay. What's the age-old one? I think it's like technical analysis and stock market profits or something like that is decent. But anything other than that, I do think it's more important to actually kind of, you know, do your own sort of soul searching in that regard. So you can reference content like this, you can reference content like other people's on YouTube, but ideally at the end of the day, you're going to come up with your own strategies naturally based off of your own trading personality and preferences. So in my opinion, trading books, not that useful in practice. But what I found is very useful from a book perspective is books on psychology, because for me, that was a big issue. That was kind of where I came into a lot of headwinds when I was first getting going. I strongly believe, I have a conviction that is, you know, my lack of understanding with the psychological processes actually what led me to being broke, you know, years ago, and also helped me kind of get out of that as well. So, you know, knock on wood, you never want to get too confident in that. But at the same time, it's an ongoing process. That's something that I found a lot of value in. Not necessarily trading books. I read 2 books. One of them was for options. That was literally to just fucking understand what the hell I was looking at. And honestly, I'm not sure it helped that much anyways. What really helped was actually doing things and then referencing people who were also like doing it successfully. That's what helped me the most with that. Anyways, I got a few more left over here. Yeah, I mean, he's horrible at PR, obviously. Like, he doesn't represent himself well, of course. Comes off terribly. But then again, it's like, look, if you're going to be a fucking billionaire, how do you relate to people anymore? I mean, you know, we've even seen people in crypto become billionaires, and it's like they're living in a different world, because they are living in a different world, which makes them, you know, it's just hard to relate for the average person, and myself included. I am just an average person after all. Anyways, what else do I want to get into? Any other housekeeping things? Yep, so we got the trade journal, Instagram. There's a bunch of scammers on Instagram. They are not me. The only Instagram account that I have is in the link description below. Any other account is not me. Please be aware of that, because I've been getting several messages about that. I can assure you that whatever the fuck they're offering you is probably a scam. And then we also got the Bybit shill. Bybit's offering up like $3,000 or $4,000 deposit bonus. There's a link description below. As always, moralistically standing, I have to say that, hey, it's very unwise to jump into these sort of leverage exchanges without actually having a working strategy in place beforehand, which you do not need to risk financial equity for. That is what you could use something like the trade journal for over here, or even Bybit does have a testnet that you can create an account on for free, and or you could just do it on pen and paper, which is the old-fashioned way. Anyways, just one more sip, and then we'll get right into the content of the day, and we'll start it off with a bit of a bang here. Are you launching Krown coin for the application? I don't want to get involved in that. I feel like that is just ripe for fuckery. Anyways, okay, cool. So let's start it off with perhaps the most important thing of the day. The most important thing of the day is the fact that CME is going to be closing the monthly today in 15 hours, 44 minutes, and 37 seconds from the moment of this recording. And that will be somewhere around like 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, I do believe. And it is the monthly, which is a very powerful time frame. And the reason why this is very powerful and very important and a big focus for this stream and probably the streams to come in the next month is that if this one thing that we're going to talk about in a second here happens, I would look at that as the next big macro signal that Bitcoin very likely does trade significantly lower. If it doesn't happen, I believe that it keeps open the hopium. But if it does happen, I will be looking for rallies to essentially enter into perhaps long-term trending down positions. Of course, that's a more direct statement, which I typically don't like to make on a channel like this because, it's just wise not to. But in this case right here, we do see specifically that CME is dancing right around the monthly white moving average. That is a 20 simple moving average. The reason why that is important right now is simply because of this. If I can bring up the right chart over here, it is because we do have a setup on the macro scale here that has happened 3 times in Bitcoin's past. It starts with the monthly MACD. Very, very simple here. We've seen it cross to the downside 3 times in Bitcoin's history, not counting the one that happened in January and February. And all 3 times then were fully validated by a closure on the monthly below the white 20 simple. So we see it over here. Of course, in 2014 first, so the green vertical bar represents the MACD crossing down, then this obviously closing below, and then over the next few months, Bitcoin does fall down to that green moving average, which is a 55 exponential moving average. Now you can see that it takes about, a little bit over half a year before Bitcoin gets going again, but, it does get going again. So there's the hopium on the other side. If this were to happen. At the same point, we see the same thing over here in June of 2018. Monthly MACD crosses the downside, 1, 2, 3, 4 months dancing around that white 20 simple, closes ever so slightly below right here. Let me actually adjust that. There we go. And then actually directly in the next couple of months, Bitcoin does find its lows, and it takes, again, about 4 or 5 months before it gets going again to the upside. This next iteration and the last iteration that we do have fully is from January to February. And you can see that Bitcoin did close the monthly below the 20 simple right here. Now, this one happened all in one fell swoop, so a little bit too fast for that one to play out. Obviously, if this current one's going to play out, it would imply that we're going to see like a wick down all the way to about $24,000 to $25,000 today. I think that's extremely unlikely. But again, did happen over here as well as a long-term corrective target. And for what it's worth right now, again, we do see this same sort of setup. We see the monthly MACD crossing the downside, and we see that Bitcoin is right on the 20 simple. And the reason why I'm calling out CME is because CME closes its monthly today, contrary to spot price action, which will not close it today. It'll close it tomorrow on the actual end of the month. But the reason why this is important is because CME's closure will drastically influence whatever spot does. I would go as far to say that wherever CME closes, that is probably exactly where, or I wouldn't say exactly, but very, very likely around where spot will close as well. So that brings up the question, what would that number be? What is essentially very concerning right here for the Boo laws would be any sort of a closure below about 40,250, essentially the high of yesterday for today. I'd even go as far to say that any sort of a closure below about $40,000 would be very, very concerning. Or obviously that would be concerning, but I need to rephrase that statement. If Bitcoin could close above about 40,000 bucks, I do believe that would keep the Boo law hopium alive. And so that will be, again, decided today in about 15 hours and 41 minutes from now. So do keep an eye on that, as that is going to be a major driver for the analyses to come. On top of that, we should also be aware that if we are going to bring up the hopium case, that Bitcoin does still have hopium here. No doubt about that, as long as the daily stochastic momentum remains postured to the upside on this vol versus stochastic chart that we've been looking at. Still looking at a 20% move from this, but if Bitcoin, let's say, closes the monthly below that level and then we continue with the upside momentum, well, I'm probably going to be looking at that next rally as a rally to very likely sell, and vice versa for the opposite side. The question is which one happens first, obviously. In this case, we do see that the daily volatility represented by BBWP over here is expanding off the lows. I haven't really seen anything like super precise just yet, like we get in the past, where it essentially explodes on that first couple moves for about 20 to 30 percentile. And for right now, it's still in single digits, actually. So I don't think that we've necessarily seen the expansion phase just yet. So I don't believe that interpretation is fully formed as of right now. But for the last 10 iterations, on average, there has been about a 20% move from the local high or local low where that expansion does happen. Typically happens over the course of about 10 to 14 days or so, which kind of does align with next week's catalytic event with the FOMC meeting on Wednesday, I do believe it is, which is very likely going to drive markets, especially after this last little earnings period. Anyways, for reference, the people who've been on this channel for the past couple months, you've seen several of these iterations alongside this. I believe we pointed them out, when it was relevant. And so you've seen this already happen. For the people who are new here, yeah, it takes a little bit of what's it called, patience, which I actually have very little of. And but it does eventually happen. And again, out of 10 iterations, about 20% on average, some of them a little bit more, some of them a little bit less. But because this one has been this low for this long, I do believe it would be logical to state that, hey, the expansion from this, the resolution of the expansion from this, I should say, is likely going to be on the higher end of that, of that average. On top of that, we do see that out of the 8 of the last 10 iterations, the daily stochastic momentum direction has actually gotten the correct direction for that move. And as of right now, it's still pointed to the upside. So for right now, the Boolaws actually have a nice big point in their favor. Now, can that change around? Yes, it can change around. If we do see a daily closure below about 38,750, that would do it. That would do it and be very, very damning for the Boolaws, obviously in the short term. Very much negating any sort of potential rally into the 40,000s first before falling down, likely meeting the monthly chart that we were looking at earlier. So that's kind of what's at stake for today. But for right now, as long as Bitcoin's basically about $1,000 above where we're currently at, then that is a moot point. And also to the Boolaw's favor, we have a couple of the things over here. One of them would be, of course, Dixie. Dixie, as we've been looking at, has hit the long-term macro target. Hey, that is not the right chart. Hold on, let's go to this one. I think it's on this chart right here. And let me just get rid of everything and we'll go to this one. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, there we go. Has hit basically the most the most long-term of targets right there at about $1.03 or so. Traditionally speaking, this is a strong pullback region. I've been kind of saying the same thing here ever since it got into about 101.5 or so. I was definitely wrong about that. But in this case, this was a pretty strong close yesterday, to be fair. The question is, does it pull back first before going for another move to the upside, which I strongly believe that it will long-term, but that probably takes years, if that. That's a good question. Traditionally speaking, though, I do have to look for a pullback here, and pullbacks could come even as far down as like 98 to 99 bucks. In fact, that would be a rather technical correction within this case. So within the context of that, that would likely help out Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, traditional markets, what have you. But until that actually does happen, there is still pressure on to the downside, obviously. So what does this likely equate to? Let's say if all these signals play out, perhaps Bitcoin opens up on a nice bounce to start off May. Bounce could even come into the mid 40s, definitely possible. But as this is, a long-term uptrend and a reversal here with the quarterly showing significant upside probably in the years to come, just based off of, hidden bullish divergence on the quarterly, which has only happened one other time in history, and the extreme lows on quarterly BBWP. I do look for this to go probably $1.10, maybe even $1.20 in the years to come, maybe not years to come, like probably 5 to 10 years, to be fair. This is a quarterly after all, so it takes at least, takes quite a fair bit of time to even get one closure. But for right now, we have hit extremes on daily BBWP. I do still want to see this kind of grind it out on the extremes and then get below the moving average before I really look for that pullback to come. So as of right now, it's actually not, as of right now, we're actually not even getting that signal for what it's worth. But this, traditionally would be a good pullback region. So that's why I kind of hesitate on calling any major downside continuation like in the short term for Bitcoin right now, especially as long as Bitcoin's above about $39,000. Why is $39,000 relevant, or why do I keep on calling that area out? It's the same thing as yesterday, actually. Just looking at this region right here, structural support within this case, we do see, or if I was put a fib on the shorter term timeframes, which is what we did yesterday, you'd see the, I think it was a 382 coming in around about $39,000. But most important, or I wouldn't say most importantly, but also of significant interest here is the fact that on the short term for funding rates, we do see positive rates yet again. That flipped around very, very fast. I believe that we tweeted this out on the new Twitter account, actually, which Elsa is managing, the Krown trading app Twitter account, which is actually growing really, really well. It's cool. But that switched around really, really fast, I guess right after I went to bed. Right here, where it did start to go from negative to positive. The negative rates from yesterday was what was making us say, hey, Bitcoin probably has another short-term move to the upside. I didn't really give any specific targets for that. But in this case, it looks like it even hit like the 40,400-ish region. So I can't claim victory for that. Obviously, that is an ego thing anyways. But what I can say, though, is that now that it has flipped to positive rates and, I would say significant positive rates, especially for the short term, that does bring up the probabilities that, we should be looking at a potential failure marked by a move and closure below $39,000. And that is also going to be strengthened by the case that the short-term timeframe stochastic momentum is actually showing potential downside below on a 6 hour below 39,300 on a closing basis. Let me actually go to spot price action right here, see if it's the same. A little bit lower than that, 39.2 to be fair. 4 hour is going to be showing downside pressure below 39.5, which Bitcoin's ever so slightly above right now. And 3 hour is going to be showing about $40,000 actually. In hourly, I'm gonna imagine it's probably correcting all the way down here. Yeah, below about downside pressure as long as Bitcoin's below 39,950 or so. So what does that essentially equate to? Well, it means that I'm actually giving Bitcoin a bit of a wider berth than maybe it deserves right now, but I still would say $39,000, big area. As long as Bitcoin's above there, I do believe hopium for another rally into the shallow 40s is possible. But if Bitcoin starts to lose that region and we start to see the monthly close below that level tonight, and then especially tomorrow, that's going to really play into the long-term analysis that the downside pressure is there are more things pointed towards downside over time here. Probably not going to happen all in one day, obviously. But until then, I'll just be looking at the short terms as a bit of a range resolution, similar to before. In this case, we could actually move it up now because we do have a greater medium-term time frame range. That would imply a 4 hour closure above about, well, whatever our highs are right here, which is about 40,800, would imply, very likely another big extension move towards 42.5 to 43, which would actually be significant for the higher term timeframes. And by the same token, below $39,000, very likely another move back down around the lows of this blue box territory between about 37 to 37.5. Probably another short-term bounce there, and then we'll come back to it after that. Other than that, is there anything else that I want to be getting onto over here? I feel like I'm missing something. Yeah, 12 hours is going to make it kind of difficult for Bitcoin to really see major continuation to the downside in the short term. Other than that, I think that's a good place to kind of leave it off, and we will reference those closures tomorrow. So hopefully that was helpful, and there you go for Bitcoin, sirs and zers. Awesome, man. All right, let me, hey, what's up, crypto server? I see you over there, man. Hope all is well and you guys are safe and in the best of health. I don't know, man. My heart keeps on going crazy. But thank you for that, man. And I wish you all the best as well, sir. Chris, hold on. Let me just make sure that I'm doing this in order. Yes, I think Chris actually is first here. I'll take a sip of this first. And, I forgot to fill up my water bottle, but we can just ask Elsa to do that. Do you want me to wipe your butt as well? Sinegra says, thoughts on monthly traditional closures? Actually, that would have been a really good thing to include in that video, but I don't want to make them too long. Closing right here, obviously this is looking pretty fucking toppy. Same thing with Nasdaq as well. Nasdaq a little bit worse. Again, is this looking like a major top? Yes, it is. Do I think that things are going to come down to 11,000 to 11,500 in the next year or two? Yeah, I do. Again, we have major drives of bearish divergence in the short term here. Even the quarterly, which is not closing this month, to be fair. It's not going to be closing until June, obviously, but we're going to get our first drive of bearish divergence ever actually on NAS futures. And my traditional target for that would be, down around about $11,000. We also hit extremes here on BBWP and also lost the moving average on it on the last closure. So all of these things, they matter to me. They just play out over a long time. So barring any sort of heroic close today, let's say, at least above $14,000, preferably above $15,000. I think that general markets are a lot more likely to come to the downside than the upside. So take that for what it's worth. Probably should have included that into the general analysis, but they all should. They're all doing the same thing anyways. You could also even call this a bit of a head and shoulders right here. It's kind of a bastardized version of one. Maybe shows up better on a bi-weekly. Not really, but same sort of thing right here. Same sort of idea. For right now, hopium remains alive until we actually get those confirmations, at least in the way that I look at things. Of course, everyone is free to do whatever they want. I'm just kind of sharing the way that I look at these myself, which I do come from a more conservative trading background. So I'm always kind of going to be a little bit on the later end to kind of call these sort of things. Anyways, one more sip and then we're ready to go. How will Nasdaq correlate to Bitcoin in the next 6 to 12 months? Well, let me get out my crystal ball really quick. And I know, look, man, there is no way to know the actual answer for that. And to be honest, this is why I always think it's just better to be looking at the asset that you're looking at, or that you intend to look at, rather than a conglomeration of a bunch of other ones. It just complicates things for little gain, in my opinion. because the asset that you're looking at is always going to be more specific. But within the context of your question, look, they've had a correlation going on basically since Bitcoin was born. Until it actually changes, I would not say that it is going to change. Basically, that is to say, hey, until we get something new actually happening, and that specifically means like a weekly different trend. So that would be both of them, one of them going up, the other one going down. There's no reason for me to believe that that relationship is going to end anytime soon. I mean, Bitcoin basically trades as a tech, which it is. I mean, it's all, look, the reason why the whole fucking world went, or not the whole world went up, but the US markets went up and most of your favorite crypto assets went up, is because this is a liquidity bubble. This is a liquidity bubble basically borne upon by the Fed in America and the ECB in Europe, printing a shit ton of money and giving it out freely and supporting markets with these reverse repo purchases. I mean, everything's gonna fucking go up when they do that. It kind of has to. So it's a really bad sign if your favorite asset did not go up. That'd be quite concerning. Anyways, okay. Chris is first. He says, "Can you do an overview of XRP long-term and long-term hold, looking for targets to add to position?" Oh boy. All right. Well, the good news is that if you liked it at 64 cents, which is where it's at right now, you're going to love it at like 50 cents. Right? right. I think that this one's coming back down to 50 cents or low 50 cents. I would not blindly call a bottom there. The only area where, like, let's say Bitcoin really falls apart. This is still not confirmed. Okay, this is a hypothetical situation, 100% hypothetical situation. But if Bitcoin were to meet the criteria that we laid out earlier, alongside all the other things that, generally are pointing towards a more or higher probability of trading to the downside, then we do have to kind of entertain these targets. One of them would be 50 cents. I would not just blindly call a bottom there, but I would be looking for big bounces there. If things really get nasty in world markets, there's no reason why this thing couldn't come back down to 25 to 30 cents. And again, I wouldn't just blindly call a bottom there. I'd just be looking for, big bounce within that region. Other than that, if you're very long term, then I would say, be prepared to wait a very long time. Look, there's nothing at all whatsoever fucking bullish about this goddamn chart as long as you're below 90 cents. That is the straight and narrow of it as far as I'm concerned, man. There's going to be bounce along the way, obviously, and it might even maybe there's a heroic bounce back above 90 cents in the short term here, and that would be massively good long term. But I literally just got a fresh major downside signal between the Krown cross iteration right there. We see it on low volatility, and we see it with hidden bearish divergence. I mean, that to me is enough to be looking for this one to come back down towards your lows of January and in July of last year. So yeah, not great. Well, there's a nice positive message of the day. Sorry, man. Again, never commenting on you as a person, just commenting on this as a chart. I do think that I think that this one had its chance in March. For most things in this market, those were just lower highs, which not great. But back above there, hey, great. Until then, though, I reserve major concern. FA says, "Tits up, Sir Bera. Jesus has arrived." Nice. Holding a 7-figure short from 90 cents on XRP. I think FA sold you that position, man. Sorry. Targeting 26 cents. Actually, I do think that's a little bit aggressive there. Just because 50 cents should be a big bounce for this, for this asset, and maybe it even reverses there. I would tend to kind of err on the side of caution as you in this and say that probably unlikely, especially seeing as you're really starting to formulate a massively long-term bearish redistribution formation, which is a descending triangle right here. So let's just see what the presumed or the implied target would be based off of confirmation of that. Yeah, I guess that puts you down around about 28 cents. So even then, you're kind of still a little bit further away from there. But overall, you're looking for this to happen over the next month. I don't think that that's going to happen over the next month. I think worse that happens over the next month is you see somewhere down around about 50 cents. You have the same position entry on Cardano. Nice, man. Dude, you are fucking killing it. That is amazing. Generally speaking, I think you have a great position, but I do think that your targets are maybe a little bit aggressive there. I would certainly take some profit at 50 cents. Personally speaking, of course, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. But I see you as having basically a perfect position with a stop obviously in place at like 80 cents, which is, I mean, you can't lose. I mean, that's pretty fucking good. So I would expect bounces somewhere around here in like in the low 50s or so. To be honest with you, I think if it were to go down to like 25, 26, 28 cents, something like that, you're probably looking at like around end of Q3, beginning of Q4, something like that. But generally speaking, I agree with your positions. If we're looking at quarterly over here, you know, this one looks to me like it wants to break down, like long term. So yeah. Where's the 21 there? 45 cents. Yeah. So still, I would put some emphasis on like the 50 cent region, let's say. Mr. Shekhar Mirage, hopefully I'm saying that properly. Good morning to you, man. GRT on the daily. Any buys on direction for the volatility expansion? Let's see. Well, I mean, everything in this market kind of trades together, right? So wherever Bitcoin goes, this one's probably going to go as well. This one, it's hard to have an upside. It's hard to have an upside bias on something that looks like this, to be quite frank with you, but I could very easily see a short-term upside move. Maybe at best, like let's first look at what you're looking at. Yeah, extremely low BBWP. This one is setting up for a move. As far as direction bias, technically speaking, you got potential hidden bearish divergence formulating right there. It won't be confirmed until you close below about 35.5 cents. If that happens, probably to the downside. And probably looking for your January lows of last year, January 2021, that is. Until then, you know, I think the hopium is that you see a daily closure above about 40 cents. If you see something like that, you're very likely going to see a big move, actually, a very explosive move, probably somewhere around about 60 cents to 70 cents. But that, in my opinion, is hopium. This is, for all intents and purposes, garbage chart. Hidden bearish divergence on the weekly, just dipping his toesy woesies back into the bearish control zone. I think it's a lot more likely to trade to the downside. We can also reference stochastic momentum. By the way, I forgot to also mention, as far as the monthly goes, monthly stochastic momentum for Bitcoin remains to the downside as long as Bitcoin's closing below $63,000 today. So barring an almost 2x move, or maybe not necessarily a 2x move, probably not happening. Anyways, let's put on your asset right here, GRT, and you're looking at it daily. So let's just see where this starts to change around. Technically speaking, it is up right now. It'll turn back down below 35.70. So you're kind of right on the balancing point right there. Personally speaking, probably does close below there, and that would be rejecting getting out of the bearish control zone, also with volatility very, very low and looking to tick up. I mean, I would be more biased towards a downside continuation, especially seeing as this thing has really only ever gone down. So personal opinion right there. Paul Garrett says, are you going to play the GST step-in game? The one where, no, man, I'm not doing that bullshit. I actually do spend a lot of time walking. I do get at minimum 10,000 steps a day. But I don't know, maybe Elsa will be interested in that. Anyways, you're looking at near. Yeah. So near, I think last time we looked at it, we were saying, hey, probably a bounce here, but that bounce was fucking weak, man. Wow. I'm going to be wrong even about the bounce, I think. Let's put it on the chart that we were working off of before. Not this one. Not this one. Let me just get rid of these, and we'll put it on over here. Near. So let me just make sure where my little blue box was. Oh, I guess it probably was right around here. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I guess I'm not wrong yet, but okay. Yeah. It actually, no, it's doing it. It's doing what we said was likely here. Again, I don't mean to say this to toot our own horn, but just to follow up for my own, validity. Yeah, so came back down to the 200 simple, very likely a bounce here. I actually do think that is probably going to try for a little bit of a bigger bounce, to be honest with you. Let's see where momentum is at. Momentum will turn back onto the upside with any sort of a closure today above 1275. That would be a good indication that it is going to bounce, at least towards 13 and a half to 1375 or so. Let's see. Traditionally speaking, I should be looking for a bounce here. The problem is that I don't think the downside is actually done. I do think that this one will come down over time, somewhere around $10 or so. This to me looks like a more complex top, it looks like a range on the top. And right now, probably going to bounce off the median of the range, which currently at. But long term, I do think that if it is going to find its lows, it probably finds its lows somewhere around here. So yeah, let's go to the time frames that you're looking at. 4 hour as well. I mean, pretty fucking weak in the 4 hour. They even got another drive of hidden bearish divergence. Maybe I am wrong about a bounce. So what sort of criteria could I use to potentially validate a greater bounce towards those next targets? Let me just first check this. Okay, yep. I would say a 4 hour closure above about 12.5 would do it for me. Yeah, that'd probably do it for me, and at least a bounce towards like 13.70ish, maybe even $14, and then come back to it after that. The problem is that it's just, in my experience, very unwise to be getting bearish right at the 200 simple. You also got structure right here as well, and then the weekly 21. These are all areas that traditionally just get a bounce. Doesn't mean it's going to reverse here. In fact, I strongly believe it won't reverse, but a move back up towards like mid to upper $13 is is possible. The problem is if Bitcoin dumps out in the short term, this one probably goes with it, to be fair. Let me take a sippy sip of this. Okay, there we go. And let me turn this down right here as well. Let's see. Okay, all right, just scrolling through the comments here. All right. Let's see. David says, Jewel light question. I just want to address this really quickly here. Is there a way to set an alarm setting when the Jewel light turns white? Not that I know of. So obviously we have to, live within TradingView's capabilities. The solution that we're working for, amongst other things as well, we actually want to include an info box with it, similar to what you see on the RSI here and on the Stochastic right here. Is that we're going to hopefully be able to host it within the app, but that's a long and arduous process, and at some point it very likely will be done, but I really don't have any time frame for that, to be honest with you. What I've learned when it comes to like programming and all that stuff is it's gonna fucking take time, man. Sometimes quite frustrating, but usually for the best. Chris says the talking before analysis is great. I need it. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, man. I just hope that people understand that on a live stream, it's a little more relaxed, and I'm here to kind of shoot the shit a little bit, as well as talk about charts. And then during like the general videos, it can just upload the content for that, and that way people kind of get both of it essentially. Anyways, let me just make sure. I actually do want to take a quick look at Ethereum for my own behavior. Let's see. Do we have anything going on right here? No, I was considering taking an entry relatively soon, but I don't think I have it just yet. But it's goddamn close, I'll say that. Anyways, okay, so let's see. We have Mr. Adam Kalain next. He's looking at Kava 6-hour and 12-hour follow-up. Okay. See, KAVA. I forget where we were at last. Okay, this one's good. Yeah, this one must have been one of the good ones earlier this week. I have to be looking for continuation here, most likely. This is doing something completely different than Bitcoin, so we do see bifurcation. I'm gonna guess that this is probably like a DeFi thing. DeFi thing. I would be looking for this one to trade up north of $6 actually in the coming weeks. I'm actually bullish on this one as long as you're above about $4.50 on your higher term timeframes. Short term timeframes like a 4 hour or 6 hour continuation on the 4 hour, continuation on the 6 hour, continuation on the 12 hour as well. Probably looking somewhere around about $6 or so. Your highs coming in from January right here. Maybe a little bit under $6, somewhere between about $5.85 and $6 or so. But yeah, an interesting chart here, which is good to see. I'm curious what would happen if Bitcoin were to dump out, but for right now, I do think that you are getting very, very close to a local high. When I start to see daily stochastic momentum turn down, which will happen below 547.5, is when I start to look for the correction. And then just hope that the correction doesn't come back down below about like 440 or 430. But yeah, for right now, I think it's got one more drive to new highs on this rally, and then probably pull back somewhere around like $5.85 to $6 or so. Okay, let's see. Let me just scroll through here, make sure that I'm doing this in the proper order. Okay, we have David Welch next. He says, okay, nice. I'm glad that you specified on which exchange, VAS, on ASX. Okay. Some sort of an ETF, a weekly and monthly. Regarding your heart, maybe check your electrolytes. It could be, I do have a pretty weird diet, but Never really had this before, so I'm inclined to say that it's hopefully just a one-off. But I'm told that heart palpitations are like pretty harmless for what it's worth. Anyways, you're looking at a weekly and a monthly. Okay, we're on a monthly right now. Long term, just in a macro range here, and I suspect that this macro range will not be resolved at least in the next month or two, between about 98 highs and about 88 lows. Daily, weekly, daily, short-term up, weekly, probably plays out more of a bounce here. You know, long-term, I think that this one's just ranging for a while, but this would be a, you know, decent range long-term, meaning that I would have a bullish bias on it long-term. Okay, where is it? Yeah, okay. It's just, I don't think that's going to be resolved anytime soon. What I'd really be looking for is I'd be looking for this one to consolidate. I'd be looking for the weekly BBWP to come back down somewhere below about 25 percentile or so, which is probably going to imply, you know, ranges like this where it comes blah, 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 blah. And then hopefully, assuming that you're long for your sake, it does move back onto the upside. I do think that there's going to be another test down somewhere around about $90. But it's gonna very likely test your patience, and be like a long-term thing, which I'm guessing maybe you're prepared for. Quarterly says you might have a high in, but I wouldn't call that high. I wouldn't say that it is a confirmed macro high in this case until you come back down and very specifically trade below your January lows, which is 86.35. If you see something like that, the high is extremely likely in for a very, very long time, and you're very likely going to see a big bounce at about 83 and a quarter or 80 or $84, but I'd be looking for further downside, you know, after that bounce. So until that happens, you know, long-term bullish as long as you kind of hold this range. I just think it's going to be taking months and months and months, at best. At least another couple months, to be honest, because the weekly BBWP is going to very likely contract all the way down to like at least 20 to 25 percentile here before it gets another try. Just personal opinion. But long-term, you know, new highs. Well, this is not even helpful, but you know, if you see a weekly closure above about 96.5, I'd be looking for new all-time highs, well above $100. Just kind of eyeballing it somewhere around about $110 or so. Okay, cool. All right. Yes, David says, as well as Crown Cross, is it best used for less volatile coins like Bitcoin and Ethereum compared to the rest of the alts? That has nothing to do with it. Volatility is always relative to the asset at hand. So that's just a mathematical calculation. So that is a misinterpretation, to be honest, or sorry, to be direct. It's best used for coins that have liquidity, because if you're trading like some fucking shit coin, you know, the problem is that those things, they can move a lot simply because there's no one in the fucking order books there to kind of soak things up. So, you know, typically speaking, that means that you potentially get more rewards, but at the risk of having more risk. You know, when you lose, it's going to be a bigger loss. When you gain, it's going to be a bigger gain in general. Ethereum and Bitcoin, you know, seem to have decent enough liquidity, as do some of the other majors, I suspect, as well. But yeah, in general, the theory of it will still work. It's just you're very likely going to naturally have, you know, more potential gains, but also more potential losses, which and also potential major liquidity problems as well, depending upon how far deep down the shitcoin drawer you're going. Frog Nation says, hey Krown, all good, man. The 2-day Stoch is already down with BBWP low. Why would you use the 1-day Stoch as your validation? Because that is not the criteria. I see what you're going to say, but let me just get to this one first. So I know where you're going with this one. So first and foremost, the reason why the reason why I don't care about that is because the 2-day has not been tested as much. And also with the 2-day stochastic momentum, it does not have good results for simply just crossing within this region. In fact, if anything, it would suggest, well, down. We can actually backtest this really, really quickly here together. And this is what I'd suggest doing always, you know, whenever you have a question like this, because all I'm doing is I'm just going off the statistics on it. So let me just mark up the same areas that we kind of see a cross coming in from this region. The first cross, that is, not the secondary one. We'll cross up this one and this one, and let's just see. Okay, so so let's see. The last 3 crosses, terrible. This one, major downside after crossing to the upside. In fact, it was upside angled this whole way down for like a 30% move. Same thing over here again for another 20% move. And over here, same thing again. I mean, it literally told you to, if you just blindly played this, obviously you shouldn't. It told you to long the highs basically twice, and over the next like month and a half, yeah, it did put in a low, but it's really not until the 2-day stochastic momentum gets outside of the bearish control zone where we actually do see some pretty good results with it. For right now, it's pretty heftily in there, to be fair. So as always, it needs to be supported by actual data and back testing, and this one to me would not be in any way, shape, or form good to use it in that way. Just personal opinion. That is for you to decide, obviously, for yourself. Anyways, we have Steve S next. He says, "Hey bud, hello sir, hello pal. Ape on the 1 and 4 hour, please." Thanks, no problem, man. Frog Nation. Okay. I think last we looked at this, we were bullish on it, and kind of have to be, well, is that a high? Probably is a high. Or I mean, it's definitely a high, but is it the high? Let's go to a 4 right here. Am I getting toppy signals yet? On an hourly, yes, but I would actually be looking for a bounce here. I'm going to be looking for 2 extremes on hourly BBWP, and that's probably going to be it. So probably a bounce back up to like 20, 23, maybe even 20, 25 or so. And to be fair, like this technically still is bullish, and you very likely will create hidden bullish divergence here. It's just, is this thing going to do its own thing if Bitcoin dumps out? I mean, assuming Bitcoin dumps out, I mean, so far it has been, to be fair. So long term, long term based off of a fucking 4 hour, I do believe this one's probably coming back down to like $18. Probably tries for a bounce there, and maybe, if the market really dumps out, probably looking more like 14.5 to $15. But for right now, I'd actually be looking for a short term bounce here. And then any bounce that basically fails to get back above $25, I do look for this one to correct further into May, early May, that is, somewhere down around like 17.5 to $18 or so. Yeah, I don't really have too much to add on to other than that. It's really, really new, man, but we are starting to hit extremes here, even on 4 hour, relatively speaking, to get up to about 92, 93 percentile. So I think at best it's going to be going sideways for a little bit. That was a nice little parabolic move there, relative to the time frame. Okay, sweet. Let's see, where are we at? Okay, we got Martin Hunt next. He's looking at gold daily, weekly. Yeah, let's check this one out. This one's obviously going to be run off of next week's event more than anything, but it looks like we are getting a bounce right at the 618. Okay, that is good. That is a good sign. Actually, okay, I forget what I said last time on this one, because I'd like to follow up on that, but I believe long term I am still bullish on this, and actually, yeah, I'm still very bullish on this long term, yeah. But relative to your time frames, the weekly and daily, I would actually be looking. No, I'd be looking for it to bounce out of here. I'd be looking for it to bounce back up north of like 1930 or so. I just think that you're doing a long term consolidation here. Long term, I wouldn't call like a grind towards new all-time highs until you start closing dailies above 2,000. So short term, probably something like this, where you come up here. I guess we kind of already have it in, I suppose. Yeah, something like this. Probably going to do something like this, setting a higher low, and then back above this region right here. That's where things start to get a little more interesting for a daily. I just think it's going to take a long time, man. I think that you're probably looking at resolution maybe at earliest like Q4 this year. If it does want to correct further, I'd be looking at 1850, but I think that you might have just seen the low right there, actually. It might get tested one more time or 2 times more, but I actually do think that this one's probably seen the lows there. I will be completely wrong about that if you trade below the lows, and then I'd be looking for a further correction down to like 1840, but still same thing. The long-term macro case would still be bullish to me. I only let go of macro bullishness below 1800. So kind of a wide berth there, but if you're trading a higher term time frame, that is what's going to happen naturally. Let's see, let me just check. What is this message over here? Okay, cool. All right, so let me just scroll back on over here. Okay, I think we have I Can Trade stuff next. He's looking at Solana daily and 5 day. Okay, let's see where this one's at. I'm not confident that a 5 day is going to populate too much here, but we can definitely look at it. Yeah, daily. I mean, look, again, another big downside signal right here. There might be another rally towards just north of 100, like 103, 105 region, but I think that's kind of best it does for right now. I have to be bearish on this as long as you're below 109.5 on a daily closing basis. If we're on a 5 day, I'm looking down here, man. Same sort of thing. Silver cross to the downside. I think it's a lot more likely in May to trade back down towards 80 to 85. Probably sets up for a bounce there, but again, bounce not the same thing as reversal. I'm generally looking down. Barring a heroic close today above the critical levels, specifically for BTC. I think most of the things in this market are setting up for downside continuation moves. Many drives of hidden bearish divergence right here. 4-hour BBWP is low, putting in a bit of a redistribution pattern as well. That is going to be fully confirmed with the 4-hour below about 95 and a quarter, with targets down to, I'm guessing, 91st short term. Yeah, somewhere down around about 91st, and then probably bounce there, and then maybe May trades down to like $80 to $85 lows. And I think the hopium is that those lows hold. Anyways, you're short. Oh, nice. You're doing phenomenally, man. You shorted 108. Perfect. Holy shit. Beautiful position, man. Absolutely beautiful. You couldn't have done better. You literally shorted the last lower high. Fucking perfect, man. Fucking perfect. Very easy to manage position, man. That is excellent. That is really, really excellent. Considering adding back on bounces, I mean, that's obviously up for you to do, but you're targeting 76 and 56. Okay, so you're getting a little bit further out there. I do strongly believe there's going to be a big bounce at like low 80s. So that would be, for me, a little bit too aggressive, but I generally think that you're in the right direction. I do think long term there is hoping that you could put in a bottom in the like $80 to $75 region. Just personal opinion. Shorting is fun. Don't tell that to the internet, man. They're not going to like you for that. It's like they take it personally, or it's like, you know, some very immature people who do not understand how markets work take it very, very personally, because it's like, you shorted my asset. You think this is going down? How dare you? It's like, what the fuck? Oh, FA is next. Oh, it's some Carderpio time. Fucking beautiful, man. Fucking beautiful. Overtime weekly and monthly. All right, let's record this one. Might as well rile up the Cardano community, right? All right, here we have Cardano, or symbol ADA, versus the dollar. Mr. FA is asking if his 43 to 34 cent targets are realistic. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of bounces along the way, namely at about like 53 to 55 cents, to be fair. But ultimately, I think that you are on the right side of this one. Obviously, hidden bearish divergence right here on the weekly, rather powerful, alongside a silver cross to the downside on very low volatility. You know, I'd first be looking for a bounce short term off of like the 75 to 76 cent lows that you saw from March. You know, typically gonna get a bounce around there, and then the hopium for the Cardano community is that it bounces back above specifically this 120 high right here. If that happens, the lows are in, very likely trading back up to like 175, $2 plus, you know, great. Do I think that that's likely? No, not really. I do think over a long period of time, while there probably is a bounce somewhere around, you know, 75 to 78 cents. I do think that it will come down somewhere around about 53 to 55 cents. But you're looking even further down than that, towards 43 cents. So let's try to figure out what you're looking at. Well, I can kind of see over here on the monthly that, yeah, it is okay. I do see what you're targeting on the monthly. You're targeting the last breakout region. So perhaps that does become relevant maybe over the summer, but I do think that there's going to be some stops along the way. And then also, you know, you got to give the hopium its due diligence as well, right? But let's go reference stochastic momentum and see if it's lining up with this. And yeah, I would say so on the weekly. The weekly stochastic momentum is going to, one, turn down with any sort of a weekly closure below 94 cents. And two, it already has DMI support for a downside continuation move. The monthly is just the monthly is not fucking good. The 5-day also wrecked below 115. And the daily is gonna actually have a little bit of upside momentum above about 83 cents or so. So technically speaking right now, probably does or might align for another bounce. But short-term bounces, I do think get arrested somewhere around about 90 cents. I think at best case scenario, short-term, if this one gets another rally, sorry, not 90 cents, but more around like 95 to 96 cents. I would be long-term macro bearish, especially as long as you're below that 120 high. I do think that your targets will be relevant over time, but first and foremost, I'd say expect a nice bounce at around 75 to 76 cents, and then probably again around mid to low 50 cents, and then after that, I think your targets do become relevant. But one thing before the next, and obviously a lot can happen in between there. So yeah, is there anything on a 4 that's giving us some hopium? Not really. Hidden bearish divergence all the way through. Even the 4 hours looking at continuation. Barring a heroic close above about 88 cents intraday here. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful for Cardano. There we go. And you shorted 90 cents again, man. Just phenomenal trading. Just phenomenal trading. You didn't quite get the last lower high on this one, but you shorted the breakout, which I'm not a breakout trader myself, but I have a lot of respect for the people who do because I don't have the fucking balls for it. But that was a great trade right there, man. Chris says, I like when people short, builds liquidity for the way up. Yes, I mean that is true. Yeah. That is 100% true. It also creates more efficient markets as well. Overview for XLM, please long-term hold as well. Oh man, so you like both XRP and XLM. Man, I'll pour one out for you. Yeah, just another shitty chart. Honestly, this one's a little bit worse than XRP in my opinion. You know, do you get another bounce at the weekly 200 simple? Maybe. Traditionally, I mean, you've already had 1-2, you know, decent sized bounces off of it, but I would be long-term macro bearish as long as you're below about a quarter. So if this one does want to bounce up early May, you know, maybe back around 21, 22 cents possible. I wouldn't necessarily be calling that. I do think it's more likely to trade to the downside over time. Hidden bearish divergence on the weekly right here, extremely low BBWP. The last time you saw a similar setup to this was back and over here, and that led towards your move from like 40 cents down to 19 to 20 cents or so. Not great, man. 5-day looks like continuation to me, man. I don't like it. I do think this one's probably coming down to like 13 cents in the next month or two. The only way that I'd invalidate that is with a move back above your last month's high, which is about 20 cents or so. 20 cents and change. Did I get into position over here? I did. Hey, nice. All right. It's a good day. This has been my most active trading week in a long time, man. It's great. Although I did take a nice little loss yesterday, so there's that. Anyways, let's see. Okay. Yeah, you didn't ask about lower term time frames, so we're good there. Yeah, just kind of wrapping up this one. Heavily bearish as long as you're below, especially a quarter, but I'd even go as far to say that 22 cents hopium, or 23 cents hopium. Okay. I think we have Mr. Bang Average Writer next. Says, any chance you can do an end of stream pick for scalping? Non-financial advice, of course. And thanks for helping the YouTuber stealing your work. So I don't know what you mean by that. Like pick for scalping, like give you a trade basically. No, I don't think that that's wise for me to do, man, because that would quite literally be financial advice. And while probably nothing's going to happen, I don't really see the need for me to put potentially myself into a bad legal situation. I would hope that people can understand that. But yeah, I can't give out direct financial advice like by law. You know, I am an American citizen and I do not want to be on the receiving end of a long red dildo from the SEC. David says dent 1 hour and 4 hour. Okay. I remember this piece of shit from 2017. What? Yeah, fucking Kenny Renhardy just spammed the shit out of it. We're at an hour. You can leave them open for like another 5 minutes and then we'll close them. Dent. I can just blaze through those. 'Cause I think he understands it well enough, so I can just go through them. Bad, pretty fucking bad. But you're looking at a 4 hour and an hourly, so you're not going to care about a weekly or weekly. Hidden bearish divergence on the 4 hour, low volatility, 4 hour jewel pointed down. I'm probably looking for this one to trade down towards 223 something. Just your lows from March basically. Hourly continuation, just garbage. I would only invalidate further continuation of the downside with an hourly closure above 2.3. 2362, whatever the fuck that number is, and then I just look for a corrected bounce before likely more continuation of the downside. This is hot garbage. Yeah, all higher term time frames bearish. So yeah, not definitely not my chart of the day. Hopefully that was helpful though. Okay, cool. Okay, FA is next. He is looking at what last one, but this one is a good size short from 1390. Link targeting, not my links, man. You shorting my links. Okay, let's see. 1390. Man, you got a fucking phenomenal position. Holy shit. Good fucking trading. Yeah, I do think that you're probably going to hit around your like $9.50 to $10 target, or you're looking at 930. Yeah, anywhere around these lows that you saw from October 2020, December 2020, you know, somewhere around there I think is likely in the coming months. Daily's already closing on new lows. Jesus. Oh, not Link, man. I would be looking for a short-term bounce at around the 200 simple here at about 11 bucks. So I would be aware of that. But yeah, I do think generally speaking, you're probably going to hit that $9.25 to $9.50 target. I would be looking for big bounces there, and those big bounces could be reversal. If you're looking at $8, I mean, or what was it, 730? Yeah, you're basically looking at the wick lows right there. Maybe, but I do think that you're going to see some bounce along the way, obviously. But yeah, generally speaking, I kind of agree with your position. Let's see what monthly stochastic momentum's looking like, just out of curiosity. I'm going to imagine it's probably heavy down. It is, it's very much down right here. Jesus Christ. That is deadly. Weekly's freshly turning down below 13.5. Yeah, I remain bearish on this one below 13.5. Ouch. Hey, Elsa, you got a new avatar. What the fuck? It's my Vapu avatar, my Wapu. It sounds like a bad word. Let's see. Okay, we got David there, so I think we scroll up here, and it is BK time. I think we already did near, so we're good on that. But CVX versus Ethereum, we can definitely do that.
You did dent.
Yeah, we did dent. Yep, correct. Looks like a chart that's kind of doing something different to the general market, but I do think you're in a daily range for the time being. Daily range being between about basically 1 cent to the upside versus about 3/10 of a cent to the downside. Just this low structure right here. I think you're probably going to be doing something like this at best for a while. And, the hoping is that you trade back above this high right here, that 1 cent high. And then, yeah, I'd be looking for your April highs to get retested and probably continuation from there. The doomium is that you do trade below the lows of this range, about 8.4 of a cent. Very likely going to retest your wick lows from April and probably further down from there. If you're on a 4 hour, as you requested, I do think short term, short term, I have no call in the mid side of the range. If you put a gun on my head and said Krown call it, then I'd say somewhere down around these lows here, short term. But other than that, no real strong opinions on it, except for the weekly, which is surprisingly good compared to the general market. Just again, if you do break your range lows, I would look for it to actually come all the way back down to your March lows there. So for right now, actually doing something a little bit different. Question is, do you trust it to do something different if the rest of the market moves? But then again, this is convex versus Ethereum, so yeah, different relationship there, I suppose. Perhaps it has a chance. It doesn't mean that its US dollar valuation is going to go up, though. It just means that it maybe goes down less than Ethereum, relatively speaking. Kenny Renardi says, hey, Krown, Gene USD, 4 hour and daily. Okay. Let's see. I remember you asked about this one earlier this week. I completely forget what it looked like. Was it one of the ones that was doing something different is the real question, and I think it was. Kind of the same thing as the last chart with the range right here. It's a median of the range. Yeah, as long as you're above 1240, I actually do look for this one to probably give another try towards the top side of the range. Some around 15 to maybe even 16 bucks. 4 hour. Short term, I'm looking for probably continuation here, maybe towards 1450 to 1460 or so. I only look at this one as long-term macro bearish with a daily closure below 1240. At that point, I look for this whole rally to be erased and come back down to $10, probably bounce, and then probably back down to your February, March lows or so. Other than that, it's actually showing something a little bit different than the rest of the market. Just again, I don't know how much I trust it if the rest of the market does dump out. Just personal opinion there. It's a hypothetical question, more or less. Kenny Renardi says, hey, Krown, what's up, man? You're back. CHR USD. Okay. CHR. All right. This is Chromia. And I guess we'll just go to Binance. Not great. Not great. Long-term bearish as long as you're below 60 cents or so. Short term, I wouldn't even give it really a big chance to bounce as long as you're below 45 cents. So that would be a resolution implying, some pretty nice upside targets back above 50 to 51 cents if that were to happen. But for right now, this to me looks like another rejection right here. Then again, I go to a 4 hour and I could certainly be wrong on that one. Even a 4 hour closure above about 45 cents and I'd be looking for that nice big leg up north of 50. But where do I call this one your next local high with continuation of the downside below 39 cents? And at that point, I look for this one to come back down to your April lows, somewhere between your April lows and your March lows. I will pin your message, sir. Okay. Move US MOV. Mob USD. This thingy. All right, we're going to Gate.io. Yeah, I did a 4-hour and daily. Okay, let's see. Another chart that kind of looks different than the majority. Actually would be looking for bounces at about 5.4 cents. And do I already have a chart on this? No, I don't. Something like this. You know, as long as it holds this is reaccumulation. So that's the hopium. The doomium is that you do close below about 5.2 cent. And at that point, I do look for this one to correct down somewhere around 4 cents or so. Daily, you know, it is doing something different, to be fair, but I am noticing two extremes here on daily BBWP. I'm inclined to say that that's probably going to mark this as the next local high here, and over time probably does trade somewhere around about 3.4 to 3.5 cent. It would actually still be a higher low there, so I wouldn't necessarily be bearish on it long term, but I do think you're probably putting in a little bit of a top there. That'll be fully confirmed with even a 4-hour closure below those range lows, and I'll be wrong about that, and continuation towards new all-time highs, like probably significantly new all-time highs with any sort of a closure above that 8.3 cent region, probably somewhere around. I mean, this thing could actually really move if that does happen into like the low teens, 13 to 14 cents over time if that were to happen. But I do think it's more likely to correct first. So short term, you probably see something like this where it gets another bounce off here, and then let's say it rejects here and then specifically comes back down that region. That's where I look for that for that shallower target to get hurt first. Until then, the hopium actually is in favor of more upside. Dose USD. Okay, whoa. Oh, okay, we got Kyle McDonald's. All right, McDonald's is looking at Dash. Okay. Oh God, Dash. What the fuck? This thing's still alive. Where is this damn thing? I remember when this thing was trading north of $1,000, and it is where most of the 2017 shitcoins are. You know, the majority of that hidden bearish divergence on this call over here already played out. So if you are going to be looking for extension on that, then it's going to be a big leg down towards like $75. So is that likely to happen from here? It's a real question. I mean, I have to look at this one as bearish as long as you're below 109. But you're on an hourly. Okay, you don't give a fuck about that. Hourly. Another weird one right here. You know, again, you can kind of give it the benefit of the doubt because you do have higher highs and higher lows here. But this will very likely come back down to your lows here at about 94 to 94.5 bucks after you do break $96.10 on an hourly closure. So until then, I think hopium remains alive, and the hopium will be validated with a nice continuation move above 98.5 with targets up towards 99 100 bucks. Until then, honestly, I do think this one probably does come back down, but I think hopium is okay to have until that actually officially happens. 4-hour is showing continuation of the downside, however, so I would like to say, yeah, I got it. It's the same damn chart, by the way. It's the same damn chart, whether it's the perp or this one. If you really want to do it, just look at it right here. You're on Bybit, Binance. It's all going to be the same thing. It's all the same price. Same sort of idea going on right there, man. South Charlotte Services says, oh yes, dollar yen. Man, where's Tokyo Channel? We've been like phenomenally bullish on this for what seems like a year or two, and I'd still be phenomenally bullish on it on the quarterly, but you're on a daily and weekly, so maybe it's kind of coming into a bit of a high here. I think you are getting very close to a local high. Let's see what the daily looks like. Probably one more move to new highs, but I do think that this one's essentially found its highs. Maybe after one more continuation move towards like a buck 32, a buck 33 region. I mean, you're seeing extremes here on weekly BBWP, and it's almost below the moving average as well. Weekly RSI's never been higher, or has it ever been higher? It has been higher before, but yeah. I think you're going to go into a correction soon enough, but correction not the same thing as reversal. I would maintain long-term macro bullishness as long as you're above 126. So where can corrections come down to? I mean, potentially as low as that, but I wouldn't even say that I think that they are going to. I think first you get continuation and then you correct into like early May, something like that. Yeah. Don't really have too much to add on to it other than that, but this is still long-term mega macro bullish. Jesus Christ, took a lot of patience on this one, but yeah. Go up, uppity up. Okay, so we are at dose now. DOSE. Okay, dose, 4 hour, and daily on gate. Another weird one, man. I mean, it's just a range right now. It's not like terrible, nor is it great. Still got higher lows even on the short-term time frame. So where does this one start to fall apart? You know, you can essentially have hopium, or I would have hopium on it as long as you're above 11.5 cent below there. I do look for this one to undo this rally and come back down to its 12th to 13th of April lows. At that point, daily probably falls apart as well and trades back down to like 8-9 cents. But for right now, you know, I'd actually be looking for bounces along this region, if anything, and bounces, you know, can very easily come back up towards 14 cents or so. Technically speaking, this one is actually bullish, especially compared to everything else in most things in this market. But I wouldn't validate like a major upside continuation move until you start to close 4 hours above 18 cents. Until then, I think that you're generally going to bounce here. Bounces probably easily come back up to 13.5, maybe even deep 13 cent region, but beware of the 11.5 cent region. That's where this one starts to fall apart as far as that goes. So again, it's like how much you trust it in this current market environment. I don't know, but it is, you know, to be fair, it is doing its own thing right here, which is a good sign. GST on Huobi. Okay, man, you just love the fucking shitcoins, don't you? Okay, well, really fucking good. Not a shitcoin, or at least look. Probably topped out for now. Yeah, a couple drives of bearish divergence right there. Extremes here on 4 hour BBWP. There's going to be bounces, you know, might even bounce back up towards like 7.5 or maybe even close to $8. But I do think that this one is going to initiate a correction here in the next week or two towards below $6. Maybe finding a low at like 5.75. But yeah, that looks pretty fucking toppy to me. Short term, I'm looking for this one to bounce off of like 666, the devil's dick number. Mr. Venegas, he says, I'm late. All good, man. Can you check out DAR 1 in 4 hour and daily? Okay, DAR. All right. DAR. Another, man, like, we have the craziest community here. You guys find like all of these things that are just completely doing something different. You're looking at a 1 in 4 and a daily. Daily, I do think that you're going to be essentially topping out somewhere around about 220 to 240ish region. You might have just seen it right there. I mean, these are extremes here, but it probably does grind up that area a few more times. 4 hour, again, very likely looking at a short-term pullback soon here, but I think that you probably get one more try up. Again, extremes, 4 hour BWP, 4 hour R size. I mean, I want to see some bearish divergence there before I really start to look for a pullback. And hourly, yeah, I think that you generally get one more try to the upside, probably around maybe even as much as $2.40 to $2.50. And I would even call a macro long-term mega bullish reversal with the daily closure above about 2.5. But for right now, I think that you got maybe one more try to the upside and then very likely a pullback and consolidate a bit lower. So yeah. Likely one more try to the upside there. Goggle is Goggle Epps says, is there a diamond pattern in the 12-hour Bitcoin? I'm really not a big fan of diamond patterns, but we can look at it. You're talking about this right here. Let me actually just pull up a fresh chart here. Okay, let's get rid of that. Is there a diamond pattern? Yeah, you could actually say that. Again, you know, with any pattern, it's basically just comes down to horizontal boundaries. So in this case, you validate this as a diamond reversal above 40,800. It's basically your prior range highs. So I don't think it really changes all that much, to be honest with you. And to the downside, I believe that you validate major continuation. I mean, even for me, below 39,000 bucks. But if you want to play it as a diamond, it's 38,400. Hey man, we really do have to close the super chats, Chris. But I'm not a value investor, so I can't really speak towards that. There's no way for me to know, man. I have no insight into that. I can look at charts, sometimes not even that great, but as far as like investing in fundamentals, I don't have any more information than you do, and I really don't have any opinion that's worthwhile on something like that. You're better off asking someone else, man. I've done zero research into that, zero. Cool. Tree City West says Flux USD. Okay, another, man, we're just going like all over the place today. No one's even dared to ask about Ethereum, which I'm just going to cover anyways at the end of this one because I'm interested. You say Flux on the 4 hour, I'm poor. Okay, all right. It's actually short term not that bad. It is kind of right at your range highs right here. So I would like to see a 4 hour closure right above 140, which you're pretty much at right now. just a smidge above 140, like 143.3, whatever that number is. And then I'd be looking for another rally up towards 150 or so. Short term. Long term, hard chart to love, obviously. Just mostly goes down. So the question to me is, where do you find your next lower high? Are you finding it right here at 140, or does it trade up towards like 1.5? I don't have a strong opinion on this, really. My strong opinion is on long-term downside continuation. If I had to call it right now, 4-hour does suggest that it probably does trade up here for what it's worth, somewhere around maybe $1.50 or so. But again, if Bitcoin bounces, this one very likely will as well. Bitcoin doesn't, then hopium down the gutter, I guess. Ultimate Gandhi says Harmony 1 hour. Is that 1 hour in daily, or is that just 1 day? Okay, symbol ONE. Okay, Harmony. Not fucking good. Okay, I don't know if you're actually interested in the hourly. Short term, is it likely to bounce? Maybe back up to 10 cents, but weak here. The daily, I'd feel a lot more confident with. I'm looking for continuation, sir. Probably looking for a bounce somewhere around 9 cents before it's all said and done. And I would not call a low there blindly. I would just be calling a bounce there. So somewhere between about 9 to 9.4 cent. Yeah, probably looking for a bounce somewhere right around there. Other than that, I mean, this is continuation, man. 4-hour hidden bearish divergence. Again, volatility about to tick up. The only way that I invalidate that and another corrective move to the upside would be with like an hourly above 10.4 cent. And, at that point, I think at best, you probably rally up towards like 11.5 to 12 cents. It's not great. Not great. Webby says PayPal on the monthly and quarterly. Okay. PayPal. I haven't looked at this one in a while. Let's see. PYPL. Monthly and a quarterly. Okay. Very fucking bad right here, but this is a bouncy region. When you're on a monthly, like, that is fucking ugly. Look, I do think that you're coming into a bounce here, to be honest with you. And I do think that the bounce can even bring you back up, perhaps close to 140 to 150. Your hidden extremes here twice on monthly BBWP. Yes, it hasn't necessarily gone for a corrective phase just yet, but what does that likely account for? It probably means that you grind out these lows at $84 to $85 a few more times, maybe into the next month of May. But, I would traditionally be looking for a bounce of this region and then come back to it later. Like, is this a long-term macro top? Definitely possible. I mean, it already is a macro top, but the problem is that move, the easy part of that move, is certainly played out. If it does get another leg down, I'm just looking towards $70. And again, same thing there. It's like I would be looking for a bounce there. Again, not the same thing as reversal. Corrected bounce can come up even all the way to like 150 and really not be meaningful at all. If you go to a daily, does it try to bounce today back up towards like $100? Perhaps yes, but I don't think that that's relevant to you. Generally speaking, I think that you're going to grind these areas out a little bit more, then try for a bounce probably around summer. Jay Header says, Morning Krown, amp, daily, and weekly hopium and doomium. Okay. All right. I can try my best for that. Daily. There's a lot of doomium here, man. The weekly looks like it's hanging on to like a cliff with its fucking fingernails. I think this one's coming down to 1.8 to 1.9 cent. Daily, the hopium is that you have a heroic bounce at some point before that next major continuation back above 2.5 cent. And at that point, I would call a major corrective move back up towards like 3.2 to 3.3. I think it's extremely unlikely, but that would be relevant. At least for me. The monthly is in free fall as far as I'm concerned, or about to enter free fall. And the 5 day is also not the picture of health and fitness. I'm generally looking for your March 2021 lows to get retested. I would not be calling any macro reversal here at all, as long as you're below 3.5 cents. So if you do get a corrective bounce in between there, probably looking somewhere more around like 3 cent, give or take a little bit. Cool. All right. Let's see. Austin We Hunt says .USD. Okay. .USD. Didn't we already looked at this one? I think. Again, just kind of generally looking down here, but I suppose if you wanted to validate the next move to the downside here, you'd want to see a 4-hour closure below about 1670. At that point, I look for the 26 lows to get retested, and do you just continue down to like the next major region somewhere around like low $16 after that? Probably yes, but that'll be invalidated, and you could actually validate a decent 4-hour bounce with any sort of a move back above 17 and a quarter. Target would be like 17.75 to maybe even $18 actually. But yeah, just relevant for a 4-hour. Ben says XCAD. Okay. Yeah, I did PayPal. Yep. Let's see. KuCoin maybe. 4-hour daily. Long-term targets. I mean, short-term targets back down to like $4. Daily. Looks to me like another high, man. Another lower, macro lower high. That is. It's not that bad compared to most of the other charts we've seen today, but I do think that you're going for a correction here back down to like 360, maybe even as low as 340. Long term, I think that the hopium is still alive as long as you're above the 320 region, but below 320, I do look for this one to join the rest of the market and trade back down towards its March lows and probably beyond. But for right now, a little bit of hopium there. Probably bounces somewhere around 3.5 to 340 or so. And then any sort of a closure on that next bounce above $5, and I'd actually call a macro reversal here with targets all the way back up, like big fucking moves towards $7.75 to $8, basically your highs, your all-time highs. Until then, short term, short term it's still corrective here, but on the whole, it actually better chart than most of the things we've seen. So bit of have to be balanced on that one. Venegas says, can you recap Hex on the 4-hour daily and weekly? God damn it. When fucking pulse chain, man? That's a real question. When is the goddamn pulse chain? Actually, it's pretty good. I do think it's probably gonna complete the reversal here. Short term, probably looking at 16.5 cent, and then any sort of a daily closure, especially a weekly closure above 16.5 cent. I look for this one to go for a big move on the weekly, actually. Probably up towards 22 to 24 cents region if that were to happen. So one thing before the next, obviously, but this one does seem to be put in a major, maybe even macro low here. That'll be invalidated with a daily closure back below 13 cents. Okay, all right. Let's see. AXS says Nina on the daily and weekly. Okay. Let's see what this one's doing. I haven't looked at this one in a long time. Long-term bullish on Krown. Wish I could say the same thing about Axes, but no, I'm looking for continuation here. Weekly, probably down to like 30, 32, 33. Probably a bit of a bounce there, but this one's kind of entering into free fall territory. So while I do think that you probably bounce around your July summer lows from last year, all bounces are lower highs, especially below $50. So, continuation most likely, probably a bounce around there, like I said, but don't confuse bounce with the reversal. Long term, it wouldn't be out of the question to be looking for like a macro correction down to $20 or so. But that can take months and months and months to occur. So just short term continuation right here, probably a bounce somewhere around like low 30s, basically 32 to 33 or so. And then I guess pray to Bula Jesus, maybe. Yeah, not great. Long term macro bearish below $70, especially, and I'd even go as far to say below 50. AK Makar says RMRK on the 4-hour and daily. Okay, RMRK. All right. KuCoin, and you're looking at a 4-hour. Bad. Real fucking bad. Again, these ones are breaking down ahead of the regular pack. Have we already got a pity bounce off of these lows here? Not yet. Probably a pity bounce somewhere around $10 even. Again, pity bounce, not the fucking same thing as a reversal. This one is heavily long-term bearish, especially as long as it's below 15 and a quarter. And I would, over the next few months, I do think this one corrects down to like 820. Your lows from October of last year. Not great. Not great. If you're on a 4-hour, maybe there's a short-term bounce here. Maybe probably bullish divergence building up here. Yeah, there would be bullish divergence if you do close a 4-hour above 1092. Then I would be looking for a corrective bounce first, somewhere to like 11 3/4, maybe even as much as 12 and a quarter, possible. But I do believe that's a little bit more hopium right now. I do think that downside continuation is a lot more likely for what it's worth, unless if that happens. Brian Z says, hello, brother man. What's up, man? Can you check out PYR? Sure. Timeframes would be massively helpful, but I think this one needs to be done on KuCoin if memory serves me correctly. Let me just double check. That's 980 price. Binance showing 986. Okay, so that seems about right. I'm going to go with KuCoin in this case. Yeah, again, I think at best you're doing a macro consolidation between $20 high and 8.25 low, and I think you just lost your median, so likely trading back down towards a low, or I guess the LARP lines on this one, yeah, basically same thing. This is kind of hopium long term. This kind of hopium long term, just because I'm assuming that it's going to put in a low here. So this would be kind of what it looks like long term. But short term, I do think that it trades back down somewhere around here. And then the hopium is that you do put in a higher low. Weekly, again, I think that you're generally going to bounce off of like the 8.5 to 8.25 region. 4 hour time frame, which I don't know if you're interested in or not, but just had another drive of hidden bearish divergence right there. Again, you've played a good portion of this move out, being that it is a short-term time frame, but next target would be to the downside 9.25 short-term, invalidated with a full hour above 10.55 with targets back up towards 11 or north of 11 actually. Until then, I generally think that you're going to come back down around here and then hopefully put in a higher low. This one, the hopium long-term will be destroyed on this one below 8, like, what is this? Below about 780 on a daily. Until then, still potentially some long-term hopium there. Hey, what's up, Frank Agnell? It's good to fucking see you, man. TA in May and stay for the day. Yeah, sell in May and go away, right? The old saying. Justin Young says, hey, Krown, would you be kind enough to do YouTube shorts from time to time? I've been thinking about it recently, but I guess I could, yeah, from time to time, like when it's relevant, when things are moving a little bit faster, yeah. I guess, yeah, I just haven't really thought of it recently, so thanks for reminding me, man. Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, cool. Joseph Valkov. All right, the last. Can you look at NIO? All right, NIO. Do NIO here. All right, man. Daily, weekly. Okay. Weekly. Looks like it's, I don't know when we looked at this last, but it's hit something of our downside target. It's pretty fucking weak here, but does it bounce first? Probably yes. Can very easily bounce to like $19, maybe even $21, but long term, very, very bearish below $26. So, I think the hopium is obviously that you get back above $26. If that were to happen, I'd say long term, your correction's over, and this one probably blast backs up towards its Q4 highs of 2021. But what I think is a little more likely is, you're probably going to bounce somewhere around here, maybe even get around that low $20 number, and then probably continuation towards this gap here, which is at around $9 or so long term, $9 to $10. That's what I think is generally more likely on this one. If you go to a monthly, again, pretty fucking ugly, man. It's a really hard chart to love below $26. So that's kind of my line in the sand. The problem is that you've already played out such a nasty downside move. It's probably more likely to have at least a short-term bounce here than not. So have to give a little bit of hopium on the other side. All right, cool. We've already looked at ape. We've already looked at many other things, my friend. Kinky in a good way. I'm new here, still figuring things out. Haven't realized my role yet. Don't know if I'm a simp or a peasant. You're gonna fit in fucking perfectly, man. That's funny. That's real fucking funny. Jesus Christ, this place must be so weird for someone new coming in. Holy shit. Just seeing if we have any sort of potential divergence going on right here. We actually do have potential, or we already have basically bearish divergence on 4 hour RSI for CME. So CME does suggest that Bitcoin probably has put in a bit of a high right there. The easy move of that has played out. The next target would be 39 if you get the next leg on it. So how would I validate the next leg? Well, hourly closure below that 39,400 low or so. Probably do it for me. And the hourly does have some hidden bullish divergence. Probably short-term bounce here, if anything. Cool. All right. So just kind of wrapping up this one for Bitcoin specifically. The big focus for me is on the monthly closure here. The monthly closure, which will happen for CME today in 14 hours, 26 minutes, and 38 seconds. If it closes below, especially $40,000, or even, the bigger number below that number, the worse, obviously, the more and more likelihood that I give it to, have a much more greater macro correction is what I'm trying to say. Much greater correction on the macro scale to the downside in the coming months. Still looking at low 30s and potentially even as low as 24 to 25. I do think it's possible. The one big thing that's kind of making me consider that this might just be one massive mega bear trap is the fact that most of the usual suspects are getting pretty fucking bearish right now, and not the best track record when that happens for those moves to play out, I'll say. But Bitcoin's chart is actually pretty damn simple here, to be fair. Bitcoin will be, I would have no problem calling big moves up towards basically $60,000 with any sort of a closure, any sort of even a move above $46,000 to $47,000. And shit, even if Bitcoin were to close or well, especially close, but even trade back above last week's high at $43,000, I'd say that the probabilities of this playing out the upside trajectories for all of those volatility versus momentum plays becomes extraordinarily high. And we probably just see the bull market emerge from here if that were to happen. But until then, that is hopium. And statistically speaking, as of right now, things are more likely to trade to the downside, at least from what I'm looking at. Hopium stays alive, especially with the daily closure today above 40,000. And for like the lesser end of that, $39,000 for the daily stochastic momentum, which probably just equates to another corrective move if the monthly closed below 40. So we'll resolve that one tomorrow once we have that new data, and then plug it into the old system and see what's most likely to happen next. But for right now, keep your eyes on that region. And with that said, I want to wish you well. I want to wish you the best bets. It's been an absolute pleasure on this nice little Friday morning over here. Been a fun week, and I suspect that next week is going to be a big week as well. Elsa wants you to see her penguin, which is a blue penguin, and its name is Frederick, and Frederick is saying goodbye, sirs and sirs. Wishing you all the best as always. Take care, and see you hopefully soon.
Write it, code it, name it, tweet it, mine it, stack it, live it, dream it, post it, scan it, charge it, send it, do it, and receive it. Trade it, buy it, sell it, store it, run it, list it, first rename it. Crypto logic. Pump it, hack it, lose it, dump it, sell it, ditch it, XR, pitch it, copy, paste it, nudge it, test it, build it, try it, bend it, fork it, hype